Hi, my name is Al Newkirk. I'm a programmer. I code in Perl. It's my favorite scripting language. I'm knowledgeable in C#, Classic ASP, and PHP. I typically write applications backed by MySQL, but I'm warming up to PostgreSQL. I'm currently working as the Director of Information Systems at a cyber charter school in Westchester, Pennsylvania, in the United States. I've been Perl programming for about 12 years, since the good old CGI days, pre-PHP. Currently, I am the sole developer behind the SweetPea web application framework. SweetPea gives developers all the tools and common functionality needed to produce a web application, hence the tagline, a web application that doesn't get in the way or suck. The term suckiness is not just a marketing ploy. Some code simply sucks. In contrast, sometimes you can look at a piece of code and say to yourself, that makes sense. You say to yourself, I can identify with the developer. I believe SweetPea has that very same appeal. I believe that a Perl newcomer or professional can look at the coding style, the syntax, and say, that makes sense. Keep in mind that there are a lot of great web application frameworks out there, but may utilize bad conventions, making them a chore to use. Currently, all SweetPea does is provide developers with a means to route URLs to controllers and actions, making use of the MVC design pattern. SweetPea does this in an object-oriented fashion, which means that first controllers are instantiated before looking for the action to be executed. Controllers being packages and actions being subroutines. SweetPea also provides a basic toolkit for interacting with cookies, sessions, and user input parameters. A slew of other useful tools also exist, but I don't want to spoil it for you. SweetPea uses the push architecture type, whereby the URL is routed to a controller in action, which performs some function and renders a view to the user. Prior to all that goodness, SweetPea will generate your basic boilerplate code using the command line utility SweetPea make. SweetPea make with no arguments will generate boilerplate code and your application structure fashioned to promote MVC design, which is a separation of concerns. SweetPea was inspired by the popular web application frameworks Catalyst and Mojolicious. I must admit that I borrowed design concepts and certain functions from both and combined them into what I believe is a solid yet simple framework. For example, Catalyst uses private global actions that are triggered automatically per request. SweetPea has similar. The Mojolicious design has a strict no dependency policy, making installing and deploying easier. SweetPea has a more relaxed view on dependencies, but shares in the sentiment. One of the things I admire about SweetPea is its simplicity. Perl is required, knowledge of Perl and object-oriented programming in Perl is required, though I believe even a novice can pick up SweetPea development pretty easily. Ease of use was a priority in developing SweetPea, from installation to testing to subsequent deployment. The short answer is no. SweetPea is not a full-stack web application development framework. Although, if you like SweetPea, know that I am currently working on a full-stack derivative labeled SweetPea application, which will support web services, caching, AJAX, client and server-side validation, ORM, and other things you come to expect from a next-generation full-stack framework. That said, currently, SweetPea does not provide everything you'd expect from a full-stack web application framework, though it does provide a nice basis or platform for development. SweetPea right now is more of a micro framework, so currently the kitchen sink is not included. Yes, absolutely. SweetPea supports code reuse by being very modular, but then implementing code reuse is really left to the developer. But code reuse is key in the underlying structure of the SweetPea framework. Yes, separation of code into models, views, and controllers is one of the main objectives. SweetPea can be obtained through CPAN, GitHub, and the SweetPea website to be announced via CPAN and GitHub once it is deployed. The more the merrier. Currently, I am the sole developer on this framework, but I sense that will change real soon. Mainly CGI, SweetPea has been ported to fast CGI on an experimental basis, and it was very painless. Actually, it took about 5 minutes to port it, so it should be easy for anyone interested in doing so. Currently, since SweetPea is in a very complete and stable state, most development efforts have been redirected to its predecessor, SweetPea application, the full-stack derivative of SweetPea. It would appear so. SweetPea has been moderately benchmarked and passed with flying colors. I don't foresee scalability being a problem code-wise. SweetPea has a very open architecture, an extendable API, although no enterprise-grade applications have been written with it, to my knowledge. SweetPea is very stable. I'm proud to announce that it has a 98% successful CPAN rating. You can verify for yourself. It is very important to note that SweetPea was developed specifically to be easy to use for all levels of Perl programmers. The API methods are named with common sense, and the coding style should be very familiar to object-oriented programmers. If you are not currently an object-oriented programmer, but you're serious about programming, object-oriented programming is something you'll want to get familiar with anyway. The last update to the framework was the consolidation of the testing and dispatching scripts. Now you can execute the dispatcher on the command line, optionally using the URL path, and get all of your set debug messages. Execute the same script in the browser and it's business as usual. As I'm sure I've mentioned quite a few times before, I am now focused on developing and deploying SweetPea application, which is, or rather will be, the completed web framework. In the programming world today, as it pertains to web frameworks, you'll typically hear one of two statements describing a web framework. Either it's a micro web framework or a full stack web framework. SweetPea would be considered a micro framework, as it lacks a lot of the standard features most developers would come to expect from a full stack web framework, like ORM, object relational mapping, native database support, templating system, etc. Though SweetPea does not employ those features, besides the fact that it's not designed to, what SweetPea does really well is provide a simple to follow blueprint for constructing a scalable application, plus provides all the methods that make web development life easy, less the full stack stuff. Things like easy access to get post and session parameters, auto session creation for security and stateless data access, the popular URL dispatching, and a swanky list of other convenient functions. Perl is not CGI. That's a common misconception. Perl is not dead, although it may have faked its death to profit in some way, but who knows. There are many modern concepts, projects, and general going-ons in the Perl community, and SweetPea is one of them. If you're looking for an easy-to-use web scripting framework with a common-sense object-oriented API, then please consider SweetPea. Also, keep your eyes open for SweetPea application. Thank you.